Have you always wanted to create a podcast but didn't know how? Had some content and things to get off your chest but didn't know who would listen? Didn't know how to get it on platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and others? Well, you don't have to look no further. Anchor is here. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. There are also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. We are Flake, Rose, and Spears, and we are Supremely Black. How y'all doing this week, fellas?
What's going on, everybody? It's your big Kinfo J Flake. Glad to be back. Fresh off vacation. Well needed vacation. I ain't gonna lie. Had a lot of fun, man. The wife was out in the desert, kicking it. Vegas, man. We had some much needed time together. I had a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again, to be honest with you. We playing the next one already. We had so much fun, came back, started playing the next vacation, bro. But it was well needed time off, man. I'm just glad to be back. Glad to be back on the podcast and talking to you brothers once again and get the people what they need, what they want. Because, I live for the people. When I die, I'm going to die for the
people. But yeah, man, congratulations again to you all on your anniversary. This D Rose, I'm pretty sure y'all know by now, but hey, Spears, you sure could tell when getting some money. Hey, them boys out here taking trips. Hey. But nah, man, it's been a chill week, man. Really just relaxing, just putting everything together for my big move. But outside of that, man, really just chilling, really waiting for next week, bar crawl week. So that's gonna be a movie. So everything good, everybody here, everybody healthy. I can't complain. How about you, Spirit?
All is well with me besides just my laptop shutting down on me. So I'm going from my phone today and recording, but everything's been good with me. Just trying to maintain, trying to do things, and also just trying to get things taken off and everything with that. I was on Instagram Live today with somebody who grew up next door to me, Trey. He was my next door neighbor when I was growing up, but he's younger than me. He's 20. I'll be 35 this year, but he started a training program where he trained athletes and stuff, and so he brought me on just to talk to them. They had some questions for me, and let them know the difference between high school, college, and then the pro life a little bit, and what to expect and all of that stuff. So I did a question and answer thing. So just trying to give back to the community and youth, and then just maintaining and working and whatnot. So that's about it with me. And like you said, looking at staying on a couple couches in a couple weeks and stuff, Other than that, not too much.
Respectfully.
Sound like some other folks get money, man. I'm going out standing on couches and stuff like that, boy. Yeah. Hey. I get the whole section roped off, man. What it sound like to me,
Hey, our 2021 ain't been as big as yours though. Closing on houses, traveling and getting new gigs and having a breakthrough coming through with your comedy, going on trips and everything. Ain't this your second trip in a month?
In a month?
Yeah.
Nah.
Y'all didn't go. Nah. Where y'all go to before Vegas? Was it Miami or something?
I didn't go to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was the ladies that went to that. I came to Houston.
Even more that he came to Houston and he sent his ladies to Miami. You feel what I'm saying? Waited 2 weeks for his furniture. You tell me.
Hey,
you can tell.
Look,
You can
Tell y'all something. Tell y'all something. All that is, and everybody who did this know, we had some trips planned in 2020. Corona shut all that down. We told all them airline places, all that, hey, keep that. I don't want it back. Because when the prices went down, they kept giving credit, giving credits, giving credits. So boom, we had all these plane tickets, So yeah, y'all go to Miami. I ain't going because ain't nothing but women going. I'm going to Houston on stuff I paid for in 2020. Man. That's all that is. I ain't got it. It just 2020 was shut everything down. I just told folks just hold on to it because when the prices drop, we gonna give you credit on top of that, credit on top of that. I gotta use them.
Yeah, cool story, bro. yeah, cool story. Yeah, whatever.
I do finally get couches though. I do finally get couches in my house though.
Ain't no wrong with it, man. I gotta. I'm trying to see if I'm actually gonna fly into Tennessee or drive down there. I gotta slide that way though. About at least next month, I gotta slide that way. See what's chill for a little minute. But yeah.
Slide on through.
Oh yeah, we can put it off. So this week, because we took a 2-week hiatus or whatnot and everything, we're not gonna really have a set topic. We're gonna talk about a couple of different things. So we would be remiss if we didn't touch on what's happening with Palestine and Israel, or Palestine, whichever the correct pronunciation is, in Israel. And so we want to touch on that briefly. I know right now when this comes out, they have semi-reconciled because they don't never reconcile because it's been going on for years upon years, decades upon decades. So we know it's a brief peace, and you can't even call it a treaty, but a moment of peace right now. So we understand that they came to that, but we still want to talk about our thoughts or our feelings about it, and just discuss from an educational standpoint, but also just from a not allowing things to go untalked about or unnoticed by us, to make it seem like we don't care or we don't have a voice upon that, on those matters that aren't necessarily Black matters. Because again, at the end of the day, pro-Black doesn't mean anti-white. It just means that, we're focused on the things that inherently and directly affect us, but we do understand that there are other things in the world that are going on and that matter. And so we would never just dismiss them or overlook them like they don't matter to us. So my first question, I guess, dealing with that is, when you go back to the historical standpoint, do you have a certain side that you see yourself standing with, or are you semi-neutral, or do you even really care to the standpoint, or is that something that you say that's their problem and that ain't nothing we should really concern ourselves with when it goes to Israel and Palestine?
I'm always gonna say I'm semi-neutral is because of my research of looking at it, and I'll be honest with y'all, I did research on this before I went on vacation, so I'm trying to replay some of that back. But I'm semi-neutral because it's been a lot of back and forth. Depending on where you begin studying what happened or looking up what happened, Palestine did this, Israel did that. It's a lot of back and forth that's going on. So I never even really get back to where it originally even started from, to be honest with you. When I was doing my research, it never went back to who originally popped it off. But it seems like it's one of those situations where it's kind of like, all right, you killed my family member, now I got to kill your family member. One person take it a step further, the other person take it a little bit further than that, and it just keep going back and forth, back and forth. I know a lot of people, kind of put it on Palestine. They have they have the bigger war. They are the bigger country. They can. It's kind of like they picking on the little guy, you know. And it seemed like that when they do their things and whatever they do, it seems like they do it big compared to, you know, Israel can't come back as big as they have done. I won't get into who did what or what to cause it, because like I said, it really takes somebody who was from there, who was in it, to probably really explain how it's going on. And probably some of them probably don't even know how it began. It's just one of them situations. We don't like them, they don't like us. We don't know why. That's how we grew up, and that's how it is. You know. I think it's kind of crazy how Palestine is. You look over the years, have taken over more and more and more and more land, what makes it look crazy. It makes it look real crazy when you look at that map. Um, but I'm not gonna say it's a situation where we shouldn't care about it. I'm not gonna say it's a situation where we shouldn't care about it. But I don't know how far involved we can get in the situation. You see what I'm saying? Without Go ahead, D bro.
Yeah. So I just think like when I was looking into it and researching, I mean, I wouldn't say I won't care. I would definitely say neutral, but I could definitely get where, you know, kind of like where both sides are going from, because as I was doing the research, it showed or that Britain had took control of the area known as Palestine after the ruler was after World War I. So a lot of the land was, you know, inhabited by the Jewish minority and the Arab majority. So the tension really grew when the Britain took as kind of establishing that as like their national home. And the Palestinian Arabs had claimed some of that land as well. So they were kind of opposed to the move. So it's just kind of similar to how it has occurred in other instances, especially dealing with the British. So, and with the Jewish community, I could get where they're coming from, and I could see where it kind of grew into a back and forth, especially when you're seeing one side being pretty much powered, from how we look at it, powered by the Jewish people, and then the other people being Arab people. So I could kind of see where that war could go and how it's been going for 100+ years, and where they're coming from, because essentially one side is fighting for their land and the other side is just fighting for what's been given to them by a select group of people within their community. So I get it. And it's happened before when you're dealing with Jewish people.
Yeah, on some of them, I was looking at some of the people just like, we getting kicked out of our house, and then they telling us it's theirs now, and we've been owning this house for 20 years. I don't think anybody would like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Somebody come in the house, your house or whatever, and say, "Hey, this ours now." No,
Yeah.
they have somebody about to die tonight. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who y'all think y'all are, but we gonna stand on this. So, but that's as of today. But you know, we go back 100 years. We go back, and I think they had beef before Britain even took over. It was beef in them same selective areas. So it's crazy. I don't know if anybody can step in and do anything. I know Joe Biden had put some little plan together to possibly just help, because I think that's all you do is like help a little bit. I don't know how far we can take it, but I think it's one of those situations where a lot of other people from the outside don't want to step their foot in, because you could be taken either way with this and lose some other countries that you're friends with, make a bigger problem than what's already going on.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it's tough because you look at it and you have respects for the particular situation. I mean, you understand. I mean, of course, it escalated a lot in April, which is, during that Ramadan. So it's just a lot of colliding differences and things of that nature. I mean, a little bit because of our ignorance of not just being as available to us as possible. It's a little different, but I could definitely, like I was saying earlier, I definitely get where they're coming from in regards to, taking their stance, especially if they feel as if that land was taken from them or occupied by people that they didn't necessarily agree with, which you have the right to, kind of like, with the Indians on their reservations and things like that they did. So, yeah. What's your, what's your take on this, Spirit?
My take on it is, it's difficult, and I'm kind of caught in the middle because I understand both aspects, and the two aspects that I speak of is the historical aspect and then the religious aspect or spiritual aspect. And so one aspect, when you look at it from a historical standpoint, it's Israel was not considered a state until 1948. But that was also after the Holocaust and everything that happened in Germany. And then a lot of them Jews came over from Germany, and the state was created into Israel. So I could understand how, as being a Palestine, you could go into Native American, like you said here, and all this other stuff. You own something, or you live somewhere, you inhabit something for so long, and then now all of a sudden somebody comes over and takes that part of the land from you and moves you out, displaces you to move certain places or whatever, or out of this state, so-called, and now you searching for a new home or whatever. But then from a spiritual religious standpoint, you know, Israel / Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was always there, but Israel wasn't always there, so-called. It wasn't known as a state until 1948, established state until 1948. But to say it from the word or the Bible or the Quran or whatever, that was the promised land to the Jews. So then to say, I am a Jew, I'm claiming my promised land that was said to be mine in the word, I could also understand that from a religious, spiritual standpoint. So it goes to now morals and ethics. Is it okay to kill people? Is it okay to be going to war, bombing, whatever? I mean, like Flake said, to a certain point, if you put me at my house that I own for 20 years, you're going to have to die tonight. I'm not just going to, give that up easily. But then also, if we believe in certain parts of the word together, whether it's from my religious standpoint or your religious standpoint, which a lot of the stuff is the same. It just got different. Whoever, God, Jesus, Allah, uh, Muhammad, and the different prophets and different things like that. But a lot of the structure is the same. Well, then this is my people's land. So then it's like, which one do you form on or fall under? So it's difficult to just say, oh, I could stand with Palestine or I could stand with Israel, even though from a political standpoint, we know that America is going to stand with Israel, just because, one, Israel and America basically look out for each other. We do a lot of things for Israel from a weapons and war standpoint to help them to be able to defend off Palestine and other things. But Israel also does some things as far as spying on us with the Middle East to make sure to let us know if Iran or Iraq or Palestine or whoever is getting nuclear weapons or getting, new forms or new factions of ISIS, Al Qaeda, and different things like that. And so they let us know. So it's just difficult from that standpoint. But then also, it's like if you go even further, it's like, are the Jews that claim to be the Jews in the Promised Land, are those, even though you might be Jewish, are you the real Israelites? And so then when you break that down, it's like, and so it's just real tricky and hard because, again, a lot of things really didn't come into the light until 1948 that's actually been written and documented. And then a lot of things was word of mouth because a lot of them Jews who actually claim Israel or live in Israel right now came from Germany. So before then, it wasn't a problem. They're descendants of the Holocaust and all this other stuff. So before them, Israel wasn't really a
big thing to them or somewhere where they was trying to migrate to. Now it's, oh, this is my land. So now you're up in arms about it. But before 1948, did it really matter to you? So then it's just real tricky and difficult. And so I don't want to be insensitive to either sect or group of people, because again, I'm pretty sure I'm naive and ignorant to certain aspects and all the details. So somebody of Palestine descent could come to me and say, well, you don't understand this and you don't know that. But then the dude could come to me as well and say, well, you wasn't privy to this and don't know that. And so it's just real difficult. But I just feel like there needs to be some type of resolve, because you can't go every couple of months or every couple of years back to the same shit over and over. And that's what they've been doing literally from the beginning of time. But let's not even go from the beginning of time. Let's just go from 1948 to 2021. They've been having peace, then they be at war. Then they have peace, then they be at war. And when you start taking the lives of innocent young kids and children and mothers and men and women, it becomes ridiculous, who really don't even have a fight in that war or battle. They're just happen to be either Jewish or Palestinian, but they really not trying to be like, oh, F you Jews or F you Palestinians or anything like that. They just live and inhabit a certain place, but then they're getting bombed or they're getting murdered or they're getting displaced and all this other stuff. So that's just really where I'm at with it. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, for those who don't know, when we go to war as America with somebody, that doesn't happen where it's affecting my day to day. Over there, you have to go out, you have to go outside, and the government or whoever done got into it with them, and they done bombed 2 houses down the street from you. Like, it ain't something we looking at on TV and like, oh, we winning or losing the war. No, you stepping outside and you might get gunned down or bombed on a war that you didn't even know had started at 2 o'clock in the morning. You just an innocent person going to check your mailbox. So yeah, you're right. You can't keep going back and forth with that when innocent, you know, kids is dying. I'm watching video of a little boy running around talking about they just killed his father just 30 minutes ago, and he was an innocent person that was just out there, you know.
My bad.
Nah, for real.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that y'all would like to address about that situation? Because if not, excuse me, we can move on to, excuse me, I got the burps. We can move on to a different topic.
No, I didn't. I don't have anything else in regards to that.
All right. Well, one of y'all could drop the next topic if y'all want to, the next discussion, and just we can jump on that.
I just wanted to also bring up, we didn't get a chance to talk about this while we was out, about the anniversary, 100 years, what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we still have, a few people still living, that's still telling their stories about when this happened, and what went on from the eyes of children that's being spoke about. So I just want to make sure we didn't leave that out. That will always be remembered. That's why when they say, as Black people, we don't need to depend on America to do nothing for us. Okay, we first got to start, and I agree with that. But don't act like America don't owe us. We've always pulled ourselves up from the bootstraps, and Tulsa's not the only situation where this happened at. It just happened to be one of the biggest ones that are out there, where we have, as Black people, pulled ourselves up from our bootstraps, out of slavery, where we was given not a thing. We was promised things that we were never given, and we had created our own business, our own schools. We had our own neighborhoods, our own movie theaters, our own cleaning services, everything you can think of.
Banks.
Fire department, police departments, banks, doctors, dentists, anything you could think of was happening in those areas, and only for some people to either just do it because of hatred or because, and we've seen this before recently when the last president we had, and even sometime before that, where people were complaining that Mexicans was coming over and taking their jobs, but they was pulling that mess back then too. Black people are taking our jobs. Well, how was black people taking your jobs then when we was only dealing with black communities? How is that even possible? So I just wanted to make sure that we don't forget about that and get y'all thoughts on that. And Tulsa will always be remembered. And just like P. Diddy used to say, we can't stop, we won't stop, and we will not. We still gonna keep on thriving to do what we need to do as black communities and get everything where it needs to be.
Definitely a huge shout out to that. I know a lot of times I think it's not really mentioned or celebrated as it should. And another key point that you were saying, it was a lot of different actually communities back in the day. Like when I was living in Florida, I don't know if a lot of people know about this one, but just kind of similar to what Black Wall Street was in Tulsa. Like it was a community in Rosewood, which is a very prominent city in Florida that was impacted. And, it's just a lot of different times and it's very similar to what happened in Tulsa, where Tulsa was bombed. Rosewood, it was pretty much they considered it was a white mob that came in and killed pretty much the entire city. That was very prominent as well. And it's a lot of different areas that are now, I guess, considered as some people might say the ghetto, but that were very, prominent and dominant areas. So Black Wall Street used to be in a lot of different cities. And I'm going to challenge you all, and I think we need to start to kind of do some more research and touch bases and kind of have like an episode touching bases on those. I know Tulsa isn't celebrated enough, but there's also a lot of hidden gems that are purposely hidden from us that are very prominent areas. But I definitely know Rosewood because there was a huge massacre. And I think it's a book on it too. I plan on reading it, but yeah, definitely shout out to Tulsa. And it's good to hear that city is, slowly but surely getting back, but it's kind of still disheartening to see that it's still not where it used to be, just based off of just oppression. So definitely shout out though.
Nah, I definitely agree, and shout out to Black Wall Street, wherever you've been and wherever you were. But again, like you said, that is something that we need to do. For y'all Tennesseans, there was Memphis in 1866, like you said, Rosewood 1923, St. Bernard Parish 1868, Philadelphia 1985. So, that's even closer to our time and when we was born or around. Springfield 1908, Chicago 1919, Detroit 1943, Charleston, they got some 2015. So that was during our time too. And I don't know exactly what they talk about because they could be talking about when old boy went into the church and killed the 9 people, but I'm not as
that's what they talking about on that one.
Yeah, Atlanta 1906, Elaine 1919, Vicksburg 1874, but there's a lot of different places and everything that this has happened to us and to our communities that was flourishing and prospering during the time without any needed assistance or aid from white America per se, or just even not even white America, just from without needing sufficient help from anybody else besides ourselves or things like that. So there are multiple massacres that we do need to talk about, discuss, and put out there, just as much as we talk about and respect what happened in Black Wall Street in Tulsa. And so I want, and I know I said this, but my goal and my vision and my hope is one day that we get back to that. And so we don't allow the things that have happened to us to put us in fear, to make us move timidly or scared, and that we say, we need this back into we need communities like this. We need these structures again where we have banks, businesses, doctors, lawyers, shopping malls, strips of businesses and communities, whether it be eyelashes, weaves, shoe stores, clothing stores, hookah shops, whatever. And we are self-sufficient ecosystems. And I say ecosystems importantly because economic systems where that it is, we're keeping it amongst us for the most part, not just 6 seconds before it's out of our communities and out of our neighborhoods. We are letting that Black dollar flourish amongst us for days, if not months upon a time, before we have to step outside and go into other economic and ecosystems. And we can rely solely on us, because I feel like we need to flourish and be amongst other people, but we also need to protect ourselves and be self-sufficient again, to where we can say we are protecting our own and what we value, versus allowing people to take our culture and own it from an economic standpoint. And we could go like, most beauty supply stores, and that's where we mostly spend our money, are owned by Asians, things like that. Most liquor stores and stuff are where we spend a lot of our dollars and stuff, are owned by Asians or Middle Easterners and Indians and stuff like that. So it's just about, buying back the block, taking control of our power, who we are, and spending our dollars amongst each other. So Tulsa, you will forever be a shining light, an inspiration, and a travesty amongst our people, but also in our hearts from Supremely Black.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And one we might need, I don't think a lot of people know about, you brought up Philadelphia in 1985. I don't think a lot of people know about what really happened there. I learned about it probably about 3 years ago on accident. Just stumbled across something. I was like, happened when and where? And when you see the pictures, you would think something like really tragic happened. But there's one thing that happened that didn't go world nationwide on the news channels back then and the newspapers. It was kind of something that happened and kind of got swept under the rug, and in recent years the story kind of was getting out and making traction.
Now, we could definitely discuss that. That could be either the end of June or the beginning of July, and we could discuss, what happened in Philadelphia in 1985, because I was born in 1986, so it was before I was born, but for it to just be that close, and because again, I don't know all the details, but like you said, it's starting to recirculate over time and stuff, and some of the stories starting to get out and more mainstream and whatnot, and just to know that was 40 years ago, basically, almost 40, 36 or whatever, and for something to happen like that in this modern day and age, and it's not the 20s, it's not the 30s, it's not the teens or the single digits or even the 1800s. It was literally post or still civil rights area, whatever, and right before modernization of technology and the technological reform and everything. So it's just crazy that stories like that aren't being talked about, and they're not in our history books, and we really don't have no knowledge of it unless it's something like we're doing, or because Tulsa gets talked about And Tulsa really just started getting talked about really like it is in the past 10 years. You know, when I was growing up and stuff, I heard of the massacre in Black Wall Street, but I didn't really realize what they did to us and how they destroyed that community until probably literally in the last 10 years. I just heard there was a Black Wall Street and it was taken out, but I never knew to the point that it was taken out or exactly how it was taken out and what they did and how the mobs came in and all of that. So it's just crazy, you know, that our stories aren't being told loud enough or being shared enough. And it's not something that's being reverberated around America.
I actually, growing up, there was a guy, and I think he's still living. Mr. Greg was the first person that ever told me about Black Wall Street.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still there, yeah. And so he was I call him an OG from Chicago. Just you'd have to know Mr. Greg to know him, but I think I didn't value that enough growing up because he used to always just kind of preach the same things that we kind of talk about now, but there wasn't anything that happened within Black history that he wouldn't let. You couldn't even really go out and just play like that for real without Mr. Greg giving you some type of history. He gonna tie it to sports, whatever you did, if you was around him, he was preaching knowledge. So I just kind of look back on that now. So like, shout out to Mr. Greg, but he had told us about Black Wall Street when we were young, like we were probably like 10, 11, or 12. It really didn't sink in that what was impacted or how it happened. But yeah, he definitely provided us with that information. Mr. Greg was always on it when it comes to that. And, you know, I think city people just a little bit more, depending on how you were raised, a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to, you know, the Black history and things like that. I think it's pushed more in the school systems or around the community more. So yeah, he was definitely dope, but that was just a little random fact. But yeah, I heard about that kind of early with the Black Wall Street.
Yeah, I think you get that in the bigger cities because a lot of people are not originally from that bigger city. You get a lot of people that move into the city and they coming from those areas close by, or they got some type of connection, when they move, to down south or something like that. And if you think about it, most of the time when we talk about these massacres and tragedies, is because Black people left that area and went somewhere else after that happened. And then, you got, your great grandmama, and she passed the message down on to, the rest of the people. And that's what usually happens. But yeah, shout out to Mr. Greg, man. He did always. You be trying to just play some football, some pick 'em up tackles. I guess it'll be the correct term to say, and what we used to say. But and he'll stop you and be like, I'll just say, I can't say what we
throw up tackle.
Yeah, throw up tackle. Yeah, I was
throw him up, bust him up. He said, pick him up tackle. Pick him up tackle.
No, we used to call it smear we used to call it smear something. But we're gonna let that ride when you try to be part of the council culture.
No, I know that term too. I know that term too, but I was just saying he could have thought throw up tackle or throw him up, bust him up, but he was so lost.
I think
because he was about to say it in his head, so he like, oh.
Yeah. I said it in my head. I definitely said it in my head. I said, whoa, hold on, we gotta come up with something.
Right. Hold on, bro. We just a year in now. Hold on. What you got?
He was always one of them cats. You be playing football or something, he come back. Jim Brown was the best running back ever. He rushed for 1,500 yards in 1937. We be like, yeah, he was one of them cats. Man. Shout out Mr. Greg. Man.
Yeah, man. Hey, Spears, this is another one. Like, I was doing some research. I was like, I definitely think we should like cover some areas, but I didn't know they that I guess it's considered as Oak Cliff now, but like 10th Street Historic District in Dallas was like a prominent area back in the day.
Yeah. It was that's part of the reason why, JFK and everything was out here and, all that stuff and everything because of the prominence that one Dallas held but then also too, you know, what Black people was out here doing in that community. And, you know, back in the times, he was, I guess you could say, one of the first, you know, presidents who kind of looked out for us, or, you know, was trying to pander towards our policies or our votes or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's part of the reason. And, you know, so some people of other ethnicities didn't get with it, and, you know, that's why he was assassinated here, because, you know, what he was trying to do and stuff. So yeah, Texas in a whole has some historical gems and travesties that happen just from either the great things that some people was trying to do in our communities, and then sometimes the tragic things that some people was trying to do to stop us from doing some of the great things that we was doing. And that's just the whole state of Texas. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to have to check that out. And, you know, debatable. I know a lot of people say that JFK was the last real one when it comes to that president. We're going to get into that because that's a whole other topic for another podcast. But yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. And I know I recently seen like about a year ago, rather, Sugarland. I didn't know that what had happened out there in regards to like the slaves. And so it's a lot of stuff. Yeah, Texas is definitely, I think Texas and Florida, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other places as well, but just being able to live in these two states, it's a lot of hidden gems out there. You just got to dive deeper, and that we have episodes worth of information that we can actually touch bases on with that, just those two states alone, honestly. Even like you saying with Tennessee as well, just kind of highlighting some of that stuff. And hopefully that's a good indicator that even though it may be considered as the ghetto now, it hasn't always been. And hopefully just, you know, shining some light on it will help it get back to, you know, where it was with the correct, you know, action steps accordingly. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of Black excellence out there that's definitely glossed over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Crazy how northern Mexico used to be so racist. That still is at some point, depending on where you're going. I call Texas northern Mexico. That's basically, and I ain't being funny, but that's what it was. Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, all that was Mexico.
But you know what, I used to think that when I lived there and when I lived in Tennessee, but moving out here, I think that was just how it was painted, because Texas is black as hell, bro. Like,
no, what I'm saying,
no.
That was Mexico, like that was Southern South America. What we consider South America. Texas was, Arizona was, New Mexico, California. Like you start looking at the names, like El Paso and stuff like that. That was not originally America's land today. So, you know,
took over.
Nah, United States do.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources down here.
Well, if we don't have nothing else to address with that, I just want to go ahead and put it out there. Happy Pride Month. We're gonna keep it just that short and simple. Flake, what is it? Caribbean Heritage?
It is Caribbean Heritage Month as well. Caribbean Heritage Month as well.
Okay. And then we also want to throw out there, I know we talked about it last year, but we want everybody, especially if you're a Texan, to understand the importance of Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is coming up, so we want you to tap in, do research, understand, get you a shirt, some fits, or whatever the case may be, turn up, enjoy Texas Independence Day for Black people, and Juneteenth and what it's supposed to really mean or whatnot. I'm not going to tell you what you can enjoy as far as holidays or what you should celebrate or what you should take part in. But I will say, if you're a Black person, and especially a Black Texan, Juneteenth should just be just as lit as July 4th. And so I'm just going to tell you
better than July 4th. I said better than July 4th.
I mean, I feel you, but I'm just saying because a lot of people don't know. So I'm saying just as lit if you're a Black person or whatnot. And so yeah, that's why we'll be standing on couches. So I just want y'all to be knowledgeable and knowing of your history and your heritage and where you come from and what your ancestors and people been through. So just keep in mind, and if you don't know too much about it, research because it's available to you what Juneteenth means.
This is random before we close it out. I know Tennessee does it every now and then, but do you all have like the Miss Black beauty pageant? Because I know that was one thing that we did in Maryland, where we from, during Juneteenth. That's what I always kind of highlighted was the capital weekend was a Miss Black pageant that Saturday. Do you all do that in Dallas? Is that something?
We had it was called the Ebony Pageant.
Ebony pageant, my bad. Yeah, Ebony pageant, my bad. Yeah.
I know we used to do one on a big scale. I can't tell you exactly when it was because I ain't been that big into pageantries or nothing like that. Just so I can't tell you if it was around Juneteenth or nothing, but we did used to have it wasn't called Ebony. It might have been like Miss Black something pageant or whatever. But I don't know if it still goes on, if we're still doing it. So that's something I have to look into and research and find out. And if we are, it could be something I throw on, tomorrow or next week's episode or whatever the case may be to get it out there if it is around Juneteenth so we could, broadcast that and market/advertise for them so we can make it something that is more popular and mainstream in our communities again.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know that, bro. I think that's definitely dope. That's one of the key things. And I would just be thinking sometimes as a kid of what made us remember or think about Juneteenth. That was definitely dope. They used to have the Ebony pageant every year. I don't even know if they do it now still, but I know it was a huge thing back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know if they still do the Ebony pageant now, not down there. But when when I got to finding out that people didn't really know about Juneteenth like that, it threw me all the way off. I thought every Black person knew about Juneteenth. But if you get people from up north, a lot of them really had no clue. Because, where we from, there was a every summer deal. Like, that if it didn't land, I'm sorry. If it land, when it landed on that Saturday, you knew you had to get up early. We had a parade. We had a dance team going at it. We had a block party. We had the Ebony pageant. Like it was a big barbecue going on. Like the whole city came out for Juneteenth every year, man. So it just was a shock.
So my question for y'all is because I know, Juneteenth. I know we all know what Juneteenth was, and because it happened in Texas, what made Tennessee people so privileged or appreciative of the freedom of slaves and Galveston or whatever in that Galveston area on that day to free them? Like because the crazy, like you said, a lot of Texans don't know that history, but what made y'all parents, y'all elders, grandparents, and everything want to take part in that history that's really kind of like it's not just a Texan history because, a lot of slaves migrated or whatever, but what made y'all feel so appreciative and want to celebrate in that? Because like you said, a lot of people up north don't know about it or don't partake in it and all of this other stuff. If y'all know that answer.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. Because I always been, since I was as long as I can remember, it's always been Juneteenth. So me growing up, I just thought everybody celebrated. I knew the reason for it. I knew the reason behind it. Ever since I was a little kid, just like, when you go to church, you got that Easter speech. It was like that. It was like that's what we came up on. That's what we knew. And I just assumed everybody did it because when we did it, all the surrounding cities used to come to town, and it would literally be one of those events that started at 9 o'clock in the morning and didn't end to 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of those deals, and I never known anything without it.
Yeah. That's just, that for me, because I mean, of course, me coming up on the flight, that's just how it was. Like, I remember purposely not wanting to get up early and might ride with him up there with him playing his system, and his boys, they'll have something else going on in the city. But literally, everybody was in our area somewhere that we would just be like cool. And he stayed right around the corner from the black Poe Clark, which is one of the last, which was actually the black school back in the day before they integrated. So it was just normal. Like, we just shot fireworks and kicked it with family on the 4th of July, but Juneteenth was a day. Like, and then, my grandmother, them, like I said, everybody was in the same close proximity. So if I went to Miss Pandora to my house, that's what they talking about. And Mark, Uncle Mark, he in there talking about the same. Like, it was just a day in Maryland. Like, and then it ended with the pageant. So I really didn't think nothing of it. Like, honestly, when people got the highlighting, I'm like, that's always been a thing. That's how I looked at it. But just dope that everybody's, on the wave. But I would say this, it was so normal that I didn't even know it was Texas history until I moved down here. Honestly.
No lie.
Yep.
I didn't know it was too until I got older.
Yep.
I got older. I didn't know they was the last ones to find out. I just was like, hey, slaves was free this day. I got older, I found out, they was the last ones to find out. So that's where it all come from.
Yeah.
It was just so normal that it was like everybody, slaves was free this day, and this, and we gonna celebrate that, and this is our Black 4th of July, and we gonna party, and we gonna do. It was just normal every year stuff. You just knew it. Like, to the point where this year I'm going back home, and we doing a fish fry. And my wife want me to sit up with her dad all night long and put a hog in the ground and barbecue it up all night with him. Like, that's what going to
I
pop.
thought y'all was about to make some hog head cheese. Nah,
they gonna take a whole hog, dig a hole in the ground, put that thing in there, and let it cook overnight. Then we're gonna be a big fish fry. So it's gonna, and she been talking about that for the last month or so. So, I mean, just how it is where we from. We ain't never known nothing different.
Nah, I respect it. Is there anything else y'all want to touch on before I go to the Black Business Minute?
I ain't got nothing, bro.
Okay, so for the viewers and the listeners again, I'm going from my phone because my laptop somehow crashed on me or whatever. So if you don't see me visually, it's because normally I be recording from my computer and then I do the Black Business Minute from my phone. But since I'm doing everything from my phone, you ain't gonna see me and you'll just be able to hear me. But this week's Black Business Minute is Partake Foods. You can go find them at partakefoods.com. And Partake Foods is from humble beginnings to the future of food. Our products give delicious peace of mind to those with dietary restrictions. And how is this so good? Enjoyment to everyone else. Their story is Meet the Woodards. Living and working near New York City, we are always on the go. When Vivian, our daughter, was diagnosed with severe food allergies as an infant, we came up short on healthy snacks that were safe to eat and delicious. Frustrated by the lack of options, Denise left her corporate job and set out to make her own. That's how Partake was born. So Partake is the future of food. As a Black female CEO and founder, Denise is passionate about raising awareness of Black and female entrepreneurship and increasing opportunity for women and people of color seeking careers in the food industry. Food and beverage has a colorful future, and Denise is dedicated to mentoring up-and-coming leaders and students excited to forge their paths in the industry. Click here to learn more about our Black Futures in Food and Beverage Fellowship Program for actively enrolled HBCU students. So Partake Foods, P-A-R-T-A-K-E Foods, FOODS.com. And again, it's Black owned, it's in Targets, and it's starting to make its way into Kroger's. And again, it has some healthy benefits for people with food allergies and things like that. Rihanna just became an investor in Partake Foods, and this is her only investment thing as far as, businesses like that that's not on, the stock market outside of her Fenty project. So for her to be interested and to dive in and everything, they're doing big things and they're doing great things in the community and also for Black people. And it got Rihanna one of the, I think she was on Forbes as like one of the top 10 richest female artists, Black artists of our time and generation. So for her to invest in it, they're doing great things. So partakefoods.com is where you could find some things, find them out and order some stuff.
Yeah, you kind of, I think you kind of broke up, bro.
Where I broke
said,
up at.
What was the last part? I think it was like you were something about foods.
I was just saying that Partake Foods was our Black Business Minute.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, if I supremely Black person of the week, and we talked about Pride Month earlier, it goes to the famous tennis player Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe was an American professional tennis player who won 3 Grand Slam singles. He was the first Black player selected to the United States Davis Cup team, and the only Black man ever to win a singles title at Wimbledon, U.S. Open, and Australian Open. He retired in 1980. He was ranked number 1 in the world to a couple of tennis magazines. His ATP computer ranking peaked at number 2 in 1976. Arthur Ashe is basically, he was like the Jordan of tennis back then. He was the man on Wheaties boxes and everything else. His career titles, 76, 44 of them listed by the ATP. His career singles record was 76.3% win rate. He had 1,085 wins and 337 losses. Once again, he won a Grand Slam singles in Australian Open in 1970, Wimbledon in 1975, and U.S. Open in 1968. He made to the quarterfinals of the French Open back-to-back in 1970 and 1971. He won Grand Slam doubles also with the Australian Open and French Open. He also won the Davis Cup titles in 1963, 68, 69, and 70, being on those teams. Now, think about how much, this is the prize money he won back in those days. $1.5 million was his prize money just from the ATP tournaments that he done. And we talking about 70s and 80s. So he was big boy ball. Like I said, that was just that. That's not including any other type of money he got from endorsements and things of that nature. Arthur Ashe did pass away in 1993. He had complications with AIDS. He didn't get it like most people would normally think. He actually got it in a blood transfusion when he received during the heart bypass surgery that he got. And they had some tainted blood, or somebody that was doing the surgery got cut and had it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming it was just some tainted blood they probably did transfusion with. And he contracted AIDS that way and ended up getting pneumonia and ended up passing away at the early age of 49 years old. So shout out to Arthur Ashe. We appreciate you. And he's the reason why we have Serena and Venus playing. So a lot of people took after Arthur Ashe. A lot of Black people started playing tennis as well due to Arthur Ashe. A lot of people don't know that their freeway Ricky Ross was once, not the rapper, but the drug dealer, was once pretty good at tennis, and he just found out that other things was making a little bit more money for him faster than tennis was. But he was known to be a great tennis player and came up on the Arthur Ashe. Well, started playing due to Arthur Ashe.
And what stadium is named after him? Is it the Wimbledon that has the main stadiums, the Arthur Ashe Stadium?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, Wimbledon.
Yes, sir. So shout out to Arthur Ashe, our supremely black person of the week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, King, for being a trailblazer.
Definitely. Well, with that being said, man, we appreciate y'all being patient with us. We was able to bring y'all a new episode. Last week we weren't able to do it because of some timing issues. We had some emergencies that come up, so we weren't able to get scheduling corrected. And then the other time I was on vacation. But we appreciate y'all being patient with us. Glad to be back and be dropping these episodes to you guys. So for all our women out there, put your crown on, took that thing to the side, let them know that you are a queen. For all our men out there, put your crown on, took that thing to the side, and let them know you are a king. We're not 3/5 of anything. We are the Supremely Black Podcast.